Friday forecast time. Sean Callahan, Andy Kendeigh here. Sean, let's talk about what the week that was. That was North Dakota. It's kind of a sluggish start, much to do with North Dakota's ability to keep the ball, playing keep away. But in the second half, I thought Nebraska really kind of muscled up and showed what they were all about.
Yeah, I felt like Scott Frost put his influence into what they did on offense, and they found something. And I think that's the one positive, the way they ran the ball, even the way they got the tight ends in. I mean, listen to this stat from last week. All of last season, Austin Allen had just 2 touchdown catches. They got 2 touchdown catches in this game from 2 walk-ons at the tight end position. So they found a few things. As we know, though, Andy, there's a lot of questions still with this football team.
Yeah, Borkature and Brewington with the touchdowns from the tight end position. They found a star in running back Anthony Grant. He's been terrific so far through 2 games.
Yeah, Anthony Grant, when you look at what he's done through 2 games, I don't think anybody could have predicted this. And, he was kind of a plan B recruit. He was going to go to Texas State before Nebraska offered him a scholarship. And, it's kind of mind-numbing that JUCO National Player of the Year was just sitting there, a former 4-star guy that played at Florida State. Florida State had a coaching change. Mike Norvell just kind of ran him out of there. They didn't want him there. And I'll tell you what, I think a lot of people would like Anthony Grant right now, and Nebraska fell into a pretty good one there, and it's got a chance to easily break 1,000 yards this year.
Yeah, Casey Thompson had a great anecdote on Monday. He says Anthony Grant is one of those guys, has a smile on his face all the time, appreciates his opportunity here where he does not take it for granted.
Well, you think about his road. He got run out of Florida State. Mike Norvell just didn't want him. Goes to Garden City, had an incident happen there, had to leave. And then he goes to New Mexico Military. Then he gets to Lincoln. I mean, if you talk about, he went from A to B to C to D. And you have to appreciate that, I think, if you're Anthony Grant, knowing, he slummed it in the minor leagues before he got his call back up in the majors.
Joining the training table now, I'll tell you that much. All right, how about defensively? The Huskers got a bit of a pass rush, a couple of key moments. Garrett Nelson had a sack. O'Shawn Mathis had a sack. Will we see more of that, especially with a team who likes to throw it around in Georgia Southern?
Yeah, the strength of Nebraska is their edge on defense. O'Shawn Mathis, Garrett Nelson, Caleb Tanner. Those players combined for 9 quarterback pressure plays, 2 quarterback sacks, 1 batted ball, and then a forced fumble, obviously, which was probably defensive play of the game by Garrett Nelson. That's the kind of production I think everybody envisioned, and we finally saw that take home, especially, in that game second half. I thought Stephon Wynn wasn't a starter, but he also had a strong outing for Nebraska, too.
Kyle Van Treese is the quarterback for Georgia Southern. Yeah, he sounds familiar. Oh, yeah, he was the quarterback at Buffalo last year. He actually had decent play last year here on the Memorial Stadium turf. So this crowd, this atmosphere isn't going to wow him much.
Yeah, you look at Kyle Van Treese in his whole career, in 3 full seasons as a starter, he's only been sacked 10 times. He was only sacked 3 times total in 2019 and 2020. He got sacked 7 times last year. So you don't get to him very often. He does a very good job of getting rid of the football. So Nebraska has to know that going in. He's dropped back 650 times. He's only been sacked 10 times.
Right.
So you got to know that opportunities to get him for a sack may be limited, but you have to get your hands up. You got to alter his throws, alter his feet, and just keep him off balance.
Georgia Southern's head coach is Clay Helton. We know that name before because he coached at USC. What do you expect? They came out against the Morgan State, won it 59-7 in their opening week. So they can put up some points. We'll have to see how they approach Nebraska.
They're going to have 2 Pac-12 championship coaches in this stadium on Saturday. Mark Helfrich from Oregon calling the game, and then obviously Clay Helton, the former Trojan USC head coach who won a Rose Bowl there as well. And, you wonder Clay Helton had to really take a big step down, switching Georgia Southern as well out of what was more of a wishbone. They were an FCS power when they were in FCS. You'd see them play North Dakota State in the playoffs. They've made the move up. I believe they're Sun Belt Conference, right? And Sun Belt's an up-and-coming league. There's a lot of talent there. I think he sees hey, I can get good players to Georgia Southern, but year one, I'm sure it's a rebuild of really what they want to do. Nice showing, though, week 1 for them.
And, Sun Belt, who else is in that conference? Troy, and we all know what Troy did to Scott Frost in year 1. We won't talk about that. What we will talk about is 6:30. It is Georgia Southern taking on Nebraska. It's on FS1.